High-performance mulching, the copper covering and the thermal shield. Look at your garden at noon and feel the heat radiating from the bare earth. If you can feel the heat rising from the soil, you are witnessing a silent massacre. In 2026, the sun has ceased to be merely a source of life and become a sterilization laser, and you, through negligence, or by following the clean and sterile aesthetic of suburban gardens, have left your land unprotected, like an open wound under salt. They taught you that a beautiful bed is a clean bed, with the black earth showing, swept, organized. But in our technical resistance, bare earth is synonymous with biological death. It is the collapse of an ecosystem that took millennia to learn to self-regulate. When ultraviolet rays strike the soil directly, the temperature rises beyond 45 degrees in just minutes, and what happens beneath the surface is a war scenario. The mycelium you captured with such effort from ancient forests collapses. The delicate hyphae boil. The water you drew up through capillary action evaporates before it even touches the tip of the root. And the microorganisms, the nitrogen-fixing bacteria, the protozoa, the engineers of your soil, they simply cook alive. You are cultivating over a biological cemetery, and wonder why your plants always seem tired, always on the verge of collapse. They hid from you that the forest never shows its skin. Nature is modest, it is protected, it is always dressed in layer upon layer of organic detritus, a complex armor we call high-performance mulching. But today, in this survival manual, we will elevate this concept to a level of engineering that the chemical industry and fertilizer salesmen do not know. We will learn to manufacture the copper covering. This is not simply about throwing dry straw on the ground. That is what amateurs do. It is about creating a thermal inertia shield and a mineral transmission catalyst. A passive and eternal system that keeps the soil 20 degrees below ambient temperature and, simultaneously, uses trace metals to shield your plants against pathogenic fungi, against opportunistic pest attacks, and against cellular dehydration. If you are ready to stop fighting the sun and start using it as the engine of your deep mineralization, if you want your garden to thrive while the world around it dehydrates, subscribe now. Join this vanguard of self-sufficiency. The surface shielding manual is open, and your liberation from the heat begins now. To master the temperature of your soil, you must first understand thermal inertia. In the deep physics of the soil, the earth functions as an energy accumulator. If the soil is exposed, it absorbs radiation for 10 consecutive hours. It stores that heat in the clay and silt layers. And when night comes, it radiates that heat back into the atmosphere, drying the roots at the very moment they should be resting. This perpetual heat cycle prevents the plant's metabolic sleep. The plant spends all its energy trying to pump water to cool its leaves, instead of focusing on the production of sugars, resins, and dense fruits. What we call the surface shield works as a high-performance double-sided insulator. On top, in the outer layer, it reflects excess infrared radiation, acting as a biological mirror. Below, at the interface between the covering and the earth, it retains what the ancient masters called the breath of the earth, the dew point. Imagine what happens in the early morning hours. While the outside air is dry and hostile, billions of micro droplets of water condense beneath the protection of our organic armor. We create an internal rain that never stops. Even in the middle of a desert, a properly shielded soil manufactures its own moisture. It recycles the breath of the earth and returns it to the roots in the form of pure distillate. This is passive climate engineering. But there is an 1800-year-old secret that modern agronomy, in its technocratic arrogance, forgot to mention: the geometry of trace metals. In our resistance, we do not use only carbon, we use conduction. When we add copper particles and ground basaltic rocks between the straw layers, we create a field of passive electroculture. Copper, in contact with the constant acidic moisture of the mulching, releases ions that are natural fungicides. It creates an invisible electrical barrier that prevents slugs and snails from touching your stem. as the difference in electrical potential burns the trail of these mollusks. But more important than that, copper acts as a conductor so that the static energy of the atmosphere, the ionic charge of the sky, is grounded into the soil. This feeds the mycelium with microvoltages that accelerate the decomposition of organic matter by 300%. This, my friends, is cold combustion in its most potent form. It is transforming time into fertility. Approach the workbench and observe with the rigor of an apothecary the materials that compose our armor. Technical authority demands that you select your layers not by aesthetics, but by lignin density and conductivity capacity. The first pillar of our construction is the sacrifice layer. You will need heavy organic matter, rich in complex carbon. Initially decomposing logs, pine bark, or pruning remains from hardwood trees. This material is not there to feed the soil immediately. It is your permanent shadow structure. Avoid, at all costs, using freshly cut grass in the top layer. Green grass ferments too quickly. It creates internal heat that cooks the biology and attracts pathogens that thrive in anaerobic environments. Seek what is dry, what is brown, what is stable under wind and rain. The sacrifice layer must be capable of withstanding a year of harsh weather before becoming earth. The second pillar is the copper and mineral core. Here lies the secret of absolute resistance. You must seek leftover copper wire. Make sure to remove all plastic insulation, or copper powder from rustic foundry. Mix this with basaltic rock dust or granite flour. These minerals are paramagnetic. They organize the molecular structure of the soil. They ensure that nutrients are not washed away by torrential rains and act as the skeleton of your shield. The copper and basalt form a mineral protection alliance that prevents the soil from losing its biological charge. The third pillar is the biological attraction membrane. Between the bare earth and the hardwood of the armor, you must place a thin layer of banana leaves or ink-free cardboard. This material is the immediate feast for earthworms. The cardboard, rich in processed cellulose, attracts annelids from the depths to the surface, under the protection of the shade. They will come to eat the membrane and, in the process, will perforate the soil, creating aeration channels through which the copper ions and rock minerals will descend. Observe carefully the porosity of each chosen material. If you make the mistake of using plastic or dark polyethylene tarps, you will be building a gas chamber. Plastic prevents gas exchange. It kills the breath of the earth and murders the biology by asphyxiation. The master of technical resistance uses only materials that breathe. For the soil is an aerobic organism, and suffocation is the fastest path to the total collapse of your production. Prepare your shield with the discipline of a royal armorer forging a breastplate. The effectiveness of the shielding is not in the quantity of material, but in stratification by density. Follow the steps with monastic rigor. Step 1. The base hydration. Before placing the first layer of armor, you must saturate the soil. Use your diluted leaf enzymatic liquid. Never, under any circumstances, cover dry soil. Mulching is a thermal insulator. If you cover dry earth, it will remain dry for months, as the covering will prevent even light rain from penetrating. Create the initial water reserve. It is the cooling fluid of your system. Step 2. The metal seeding. Spread your rock dust and copper fragments directly over the moist, dark earth. Do not use large quantities. We do not want to saturate the soil with heavy metals. We only want to create contact points. Imagine you are seeding small biological lightning rods. Use copper strategically, around the main roots and at the edges of the bed, to create the siege against slugs. Step 13. The nutrition membrane. Position the cardboard or banana leaves over the minerals. This is the roof of the worm house. Re-moisten this layer until it becomes pliable and molds to the contours of the earth. Creating a moisture gradient between the layers is the secret to activating ascending capillarity, the force that keeps life active even during dry periods. Step 4. The lignin armor. Cover everything with 10 to 15 centimeters of wood chips, coarse straw, or dry bark. At the end of the process, Your bed should not look like a conventional agricultural plantation. It should look like an untouched fragment of forest floor. If you can push your hand under that thick covering on a scorching sunny day and feel the coolness of the morning, you have defeated physics. You are no longer a slave to the climate. You are the master of your own temperature. In survival engineering, a small positioning error can turn a tool into a trap. There are mistakes I see repeatedly, and that you must avoid to guarantee the sovereignty of your soil. The first mistake, and the most common, is the trunk collar. The amateur, in their eagerness to protect the plant, places the mulching directly against the stem. This is a fatal mistake. The constant accumulated moisture against the trunk causes the crown to rot. Opportunistic fungi will enter there and knock down your plant within days. Always maintain a gap of 2 or 3 fingers around the main stem. Let the neck of the plant breathe, while the body of the soil is protected. The second mistake is the chemical origin of materials. Many seek sawdust from industrial woodshops or construction debris. Exercise absolute caution. Wood treated with varnish, with autoclave, or with CCA, chromated copper arsenate, are systemic poisons. The mycelium, in its search for nutrients, will decompose these substances and transport them directly into the interior of your tomatoes, your cabbages, your fruits. If the material is not virgin and natural, it does not enter your fortress. Maintain the purity of your organic lineage, or your shield will become the source of your own ruin. The third mistake is the compaction of the covering. The mulching must be aerated. If you walk on it or use materials that are too fine and turn into an impermeable paste, you will block the entry of oxygen. Remember, we seek cold combustion, and all combustion, even biological, requires oxygen to occur. Keep the structure loose and resilient. Upon completing your surface shielding, observe what you have just created. You have not merely made a garden, you have performed an act of climatic sovereignty. In a world where weather forecasts are used to spread fear and dependence, you have created your own refuge. The result will be visible within days, while your neighbor's plants wilt at 2 in the afternoon, closing their pores to avoid dying of thirst. Your plants will be in full vigor. Their leaves will be expanded, capturing every photon of light, because they know that, down below, in the roots, the temperature is perfect, the water is available, and the mycelium is working. The thermal inertia guaranteed by the copper shield allows the plant to focus 100% of its energy on the production of phytonutrients. This means that the fruit you will harvest will have a mineral density that supermarket agriculture can never replicate. You will feel the weight, the aroma, and the strength of a nutrition that was forged in the coolness of shielded earth. Additionally, you will notice a fascinating phenomenon: the disappearance of unwanted weeds. Most weeds depend on a light trigger and thermal fluctuation to germinate, by stabilizing the temperature and blocking direct light on the earth. You deactivate the biological clock of these plants. You do not need hose. You do not need poisons. You use the physics of shadow to maintain your dominion. This is the conclusion of our fundamental triad of resistance. We have mastered capillary water. We have awakened the infinite soil with mycelium. And now, we have sealed the system with the copper thermal shield. You now possess a living organism under your command, a system that self-hydrates, self-nourishes, and self-protects. But the journey toward absolute self-sufficiency in 2026 requires one final link of sovereignty. Having the richest and most protected soil on the planet is worthless if the seed you place in it is a slave seed, a seed designed in a laboratory not to reproduce or to depend on external chemicals. The seed is the information chip of life, and we need to reclaim control of this technology. Therefore, prepare yourselves. In our next meeting of technical resistance, we will enter the forbidden domain of peasant genetics and plant cellular memory. Keep your mulching thick, like the very skin of the earth. Keep your copper in contact with life. and keep your spirit focused on total independence from any centralized system. Technical resistance is silent. It does not shout, but it is the only engine that drives the gear of true freedom. Until the next chapter of our liberation, stay firm. Stay under the shadow of technique and remain sovereign.